about? Please, just go to the house.
You broke up with me.
Because you made an OnlyFans account and I told you not to.
Okay, are you gonna pay my bills? What are you talking about? Bro, really? You gonna put me?
Bro, go home. Bro, get your ass out of here.
What she think was gonna happen? Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Ruling Class Podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Didi, back up in this with another video. And I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers still. And I'm trying to drink some of this water. And I'm super thirsty for both goals. And you can help me out by liking this video, subscribing, sharing this video, and commenting on this video. But don't worry, I'm going to give you a sec to do that. I'm still waiting. Yo, I looked at those analytics, and it's saying that a lot of y'all, like 91% of y'all who watch my videos are not subscribed, so I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. Get you some manners. This should be very interesting when talking about OnlyFans. Let's see how this goes.
The Black Girl Breeze. So, let's get into it. So there's this big post, which is posted here, about this woman who gave up her relationship for her OnlyFans account. So from the looks of it, the video, if you've seen the video, the couple are arguing, and she wants to know, the woman wants to know why her boyfriend broke up with her. And he says, because you made an OnlyFans account and I told you not to. And then she says, so are you gonna pay my bills? And then the video cuts out. So that's what you've been seeing on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. So.
Right. So a lot of the responses are basically centered around, you know, who's right, who's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
isn't that how a lot of
acknowledging
conversations go?
both sides, people are just picking a side. And so, you know, men are typically saying, okay, you know, I don't want a girlfriend with an OnlyFans account. Like it's okay that he doesn't want to date somebody that's an OnlyFans account. They don't want to date sex workers, and they have like certain standards, and they are allowed to abide.
Yeah, and for me, because my realm is more so Facebook, and then the Facebook group is where I saw it first, and a lot of the comments were basically focused on like, you know, the woman had a point, like he wasn't gonna pay her bills, like, right, and he was not paying her bills, and that's what most of the conversation was centered around. And then the men were saying, well,
you know,
so,
Twitter is pick me
territory.
Yeah. So a lot of girls aren't gonna say, even though it's what they're thinking, that's not what they're gonna say because they're scared to get dragged.
But on Facebook, anything goes. If you haven't been there, anything goes. It's creep. So, like, a lot of men were saying, like, you know, women shouldn't be wanting to do this and should be having higher standards. And what about when this man said, what about when your daughter asks about where they got their toy from or something, and then you have to explore that you was
like, they're not gonna pay $35 to see her OnlyFans account?
The women on Facebook was like, so when do children ever ask where their stuff come from? Kids don't care.
No.
Kids.
Fair point. Well, kids don't care, but I'm going to tell you who does. Teenagers. And your children someday are going to become teenagers. And if you know anything about the internet, you know two things about the internet. The internet is undefeated. And you know the second thing about the internet? If you put something on the internet, it's forever. You can delete it as much as you want, but people could have screenshotted it. People could have downloaded it. People could have shared it somewhere else. Once you put something on the internet, you've shared it with the entire world. It's out there forever. So when you make decisions like creating OnlyFans accounts, you have to understand what comes with that. You have to understand the repercussions of what comes with that.
I mean, I ain't got kids, but I never gave a damn. Mm-hmm.
But then we get into that word standards. Like, men and their standards.
Period.
It's weird. Men and their standards.
It's crazy what they want to set a boundary for.
Yeah.
It's crazy the things that they choose to have a standard about. I'm not a man, so. But I'm confusion.
But I'm confused because OnlyFans accounts and standards. I don't know how having an OnlyFans
equates
account
to low standards.
Right, like women are devalued once they create an account. Like you log in your information and you are now a prostitute.
Right, and I keep making a point. There can be a girl having the same number of partners, having the same amount of sex for free every day, in and out on the streets doing her thing. And the moment that a girl gets online and does it, now she's a criminal, even though might have less partners. Actually, she could just be doing solo videos. She can be sending feet pics. You don't have to.
Well, first of all, nobody ever made the argument that she would be a criminal. That was never what that viral video was about. Nobody ever said she was a criminal. The man said they had a certain understanding and certain standards, and he was operating from a certain moral compass. He didn't make her out to be a criminal. He said that was not something he was okay with, and she decided to do it. So don't change the conversation. And secondly, you said a woman can be having sex with as many people as she wants in the streets for free, but the second she does it for money, she's a criminal. No, it's not about the fact that one is considered worse than the other. In my world and a lot of other men's world that I know, both are frowned upon. No man wants a woman with a lot of body count, with a large body count, with multiple partners. I don't know very many men that want women like that, whether you're making money for it or not.
Have sex on OnlyFans. You can sell anything. So how does that, like, if she's over there doing it for free and she's over there doing it for money, I don't understand how their standards are different. And if anything, she got an entrepreneur spirit. Like, you should like that. She's getting some money.
And like Pornhub is in a whole industry. Like, who do y'all think these women are behind these cameras?
I guess they
just can't be your girlfriend. The women behind the cameras that you spend your money on can't be.
But the thing is, a lot of guys are saying that we're gold diggers, we're this, that, the other. When we seek out relationships, we don't build. I saw another post the other day saying that women don't build, they just move in. So, like, according to you all, we don't make money. We only want guys with money. We don't have anything. But if these are the people with money, clearly these are the girls buying houses, cars, like, they have the finances, but those are the ones that you don't want to date. But you keep saying that your standard is a girl who has something going for herself. That's something.
When a man says that he wants a woman to have something going for herself, this is not what he means. He means something that's of moral compass, operating from a moral compass. When you talk about OnlyFans, they were making a point that when you have an OnlyFans account, it's not just about having sex online or showing nude pictures. You can do other things like sending pics of your feet. But cut it out. We also know that when people have an OnlyFans account, we know what a lot of people go to OnlyFans for. So you're being disingenuous. And I know a lot of women, when they have conversations like this and they want to defend another woman, probably because subconsciously they're really defending their own actions or what they really want to do, they seem to be disingenuous and they want to pay attention. What I mean by that is they want to pay attention to some things, but ignore other things. The quote they just put up there, I think, has been one of the most powerful quotes I've seen in the last 10 years that I still have not seen anybody debunk. A rich man will meet a broke woman, which happens a lot, and change her life, which happens a lot. But a rich woman will never look a broke man's way. Prove me wrong. That's facts. You got women who not even rich, but just doing kind of so well for themselves. You got poor women that look really good, but won't even look at a man who isn't in her tax bracket. Facts.
Going for yourself.
But just with that being said, we always accept that two things can be true at the same time. So, our collective viewpoint is that of many. I was telling her earlier, like, we understand that people set boundaries in their relationships, and that's between them two. We don't have anything to say about that.
I agree with that. We
don't. So we feel like they're both valid. If he don't want to date a sex worker, assuming that she is, because just because you do OnlyFans does not mean that you're a sex worker. But if he doesn't want to date a sex worker, he doesn't have to. And if she wants to make her money the way she wants to make her money, she can do that. And those things clash in relationships. This thing is a valid argument, but don't think that this conversation is not about women, the policing of how they choose to make their money, and also entering into relationships where men respect what they do. Because that's a lot of what we're seeing. We're not having a conversation about, why did he feel like he had to say, no, you can't have an OnlyFans account. Like, where did that come from?
I mean, I don't know, because I was asking myself the same question. Like, we have this has been made apparent time and time again on social media, especially Twitter, because that's just where I'm at most of the time. But I have never once seen a role reverse. I have never once saw a woman say, I will not date him because he has an OnlyFans. And I mean, men do have OnlyFans. I don't know why people don't think that, but men do have OnlyFans. Like,
Okay, let's debunk this. Okay, so first of all, she said she's never seen the roles reversed. She's never seen a woman say that she wouldn't date a man who has an OnlyFans account. There's probably two reasons why. One of the reasons you probably never hear that is because very many men don't have OnlyFans accounts. You can point at the very select few men in this world or this country who do, but we know very many men don't have compared to women. Like, the ratio is not even close. Secondly, maybe you don't ever hear, when you say you never hear that, well, that's more so about the woman. If a woman is okay with her man showing his body parts to the world to make money from it, and she don't have any problem with that, then think about the moral compass that she's operating from. You see what I'm saying? And speak about that man. I'll get onto the man too. If you're willing to sell your body or sell your images for money, you know, your nude images, that is, then that speaks to that gentleman as well. That speaks to that man as well.
they have something for everybody. So even like partners, whether you're male, female, male, like, I don't see this happening with anybody else but the male and female, and it's always male towards females. I don't want you doing that, but I have never seen a role reverse.
I saw a post today that said that somehow somebody said, she said, for some reason men can sell drugs and make money illegally and tear
like
apart
that
the
point.
community
Great
and
point.
kill folks. And somehow one can't flip their game on
I saw
OnlyFans.
that.
Yes, I was dying. I died.
But it's true.
Yes.
It's absolutely true. And I mean, we are kind of like forced to accept people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
But other people can't like accept us where we are. Like I said.
So a lot of people were saying that
No, people are not trying to you're not forced to accept people for where you are. That speaks to the women once again. If a woman is, all these women are choosing to go out and deal with drug dealers, dealing with people who are out here shooting people, that's your decision as a woman. You don't have to deal with men like that. You're choosing to deal with men like that. Think about what you're saying. The man is with a woman that he found out was doing something that was against his moral compass. He cut her off. But you're mentioning women who choose to mess with men who are doing things that they're not okay with, but they're choosing to ignore it. How that make sense? Make that make sense for me.
those two situations don't compare. Like, being on OnlyFans and selling drugs and killing folks in the community is not the same thing. We know that. That's not what we're comparing. What we're comparing is people's reactions and what they accept within their relationships when they choose their partners. Because there's plenty of people who choose partners who do dangerous things, who risk their lives, who put them in compromising positions. And they're supposed to understand, but OnlyFans has this connotation that I don't know how it affects you, honestly. I mean, what affects you by somebody else doing whatever they choose to do on OnlyFans and getting their money?
Because, I mean, there's a such thing as having a healthy standard.
Exactly. Yeah, like, I don't know why in the world any man or any person would not want to date somebody who's showing their body parts for the world to see. I don't know why anybody would want somebody who wouldn't want somebody who's showing the entire world what their body looks like with their clothes off. Beats me.
For yourself and doing so in a manner that doesn't make people feel bad for how they live in their life. Like, it's okay for you to have a standard, but don't be judgmental. So
a lot of the conversation, we felt like what went on in that video was valid. She wanted to know why her feelings was hurt, and it just was what it was. He ended the relationship. He was at where he was at. It just was what it was. The problem is that people are using their situation to justify their feelings about sex work, their feelings about policing their significant others, their feelings about how they want to enter relationships that they don't have, but somehow have the audacity to just project all these other things on there. And this is not that. It generously takes
right.
very often.
Let me just say, I do not agree with anybody policing another person, period. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with one person trying to control another person. You all, I think, is kind of making the conversation into that. Another thing, the woman mentioned that not to judge people. Try to have healthy standards without judging people. Whenever people have conversations like this, they always want to bring up the judgmental card. And a lot of times they want to bring up the judgmental card because they're referencing the Bible. And for those of you who don't believe in the Bible, this don't apply to you. But a lot of you all in America, we believe in the Bible. We follow the biblical standards, or we try to. We're raised to do so. And if that's what you're referring to, the Bible doesn't tell you not to judge people. Show me a scripture where it does that. You're talking about Matthew? In Matthew, it does not tell you not to judge people. It tells you not to judge people if you have not gotten the smut out of your own eye. In other words, how are you going to tell your friend to stop beating his wife if you're beating your wife? You're supposed to have X, Y, and Z straightened up and corrected in your own life, so now you can help the other person with that specific thing. That's what that's talking about. But which leads me to my last point. It's always interesting to me when conversations like this come up. God is never mentioned, not one time. Nobody's talking about God's standards. Nobody's talking about biblical standards. Now, I understand everybody don't believe in the Bible, but a lot of these people do. But they know if they was to reference the Bible, if they was to reference the scripture, the Holy Scriptures, they know that they have to hold themselves to a certain standard. So let's not mention the scriptures. Let's not mention God. And let's talk about what we feel. And let's talk about our emotions. And we're not going to talk about logic. We're not going to talk about a moral compass. We're not going to talk about a moral standard. We're not going to talk about the consequences of our actions. We're only going to talk about what we want to do. And it's hypocritical, and I'm pointing it out. Until next time, peace.
Oh, yeah, Diddy got a podcast.